I've been the last couple of days I've been watching this video. This is the whole game, and they basically they have a stick and some kind of paddle blocking shield thing, and they get 3 strikes. And they either go face, body, or nuts. And it's the funniest thing. I die watching it every time because it's so ridiculous, and it's also 100% something I would do with my friends. I needed that. I needed that a lot. That's really good. That's now my go-to pick-me-up video. I'm absolutely here for it. Today was a struggle. I don't know. I've been on set for like 2 weeks now, and I was just not having it today. I don't know what it was. It wasn't anything in particular. It was just not in the mood. Rallying as much as possible, but just out of it, dude. Just completely out of it. Today was a relatively light day. It was a showcase post day, and I've been really trying to, partially through this series, and then also just in general, work on kind of like revamping my content. I had a number of very interesting conversations today about it. Not so much revamp, but just pivot and figure out what I've been struggling with, because in a lot of ways I've been really struggling with a couple things. One is just a little bit of burnout, because my content is really heavy lift, and so I want to remove a lot of the extra steps of the editing process and a lot of the stress around perfection and looking perfect, and that's been a big thing for me. I want to increase my depth of connection with y'all and be able to have that go both ways, and yeah, I'm really looking to just have something that I'm really enjoying doing again, because there are large parts of what I do that I really enjoy, but in a lot of ways it's become a job more than I had been hoping, and certainly planned for. And so yeah, kind of just taking lessons here and there from different people and learning to incorporate that into my content and what I enjoy, what I do, the direction that I want to go, but also at the same time making sure that it's sustainable for myself, and then I'm actually getting to connect with y'all in a meaningful way. I think that this video series it's a little random, but it's been really cathartic, and it's been really nice to have this open dialogue, and feel like there's no pressure, just kind of no holds bar, as it were, to really do or say anything in particular, but just to talk. Like today, I was talking to my friend Hugh on the show, and she and I think so differently. It's really interesting to listen to our conversations and perspectives, because I tend to be pretty methodical about the way that I think, and if I can't articulate it or prove it or defend it or repeat it, then I don't tend to bring it into my school of thought. And he was very much more open and amorphous about the way that she thinks, and there's validity, there's a whole lot of validity to it. That's not a bad thing by any means, and that's part of why I enjoy talking with her so much, because it's a very different perspective than mine. And so we were talking today about creativity and being drawn towards things, and she found her passion later in life, in 27, or certainly later than the stage that I am at. I'm 24 now. She was 27 when she found skateboarding. She's now 31, and it's really interesting hearing her talking about the way that skateboarding really lit her up and lit up her life in a lot of ways. And I don't think that I necessarily have like a singular thing that does that for me, but I think the act of creating in a lot of different ways is like that for me. And that's been like one constant throughout all of my life. I genuinely think that my life's joy is creating things, but what I'm creating in the form that it takes changes a lot. So, like when I was younger, I would make my toys out of pipe cleaners. When I would draw constantly, I would doodle on things. When I studied engineering initially, it was because I wanted to make robots. Now I'm studying mechanical engineering, but like nuclear is my specialization. And now my passion is creating content, like videos, images, stuff like that, and making a difference in that way, creating a new world as much as I can. And that's one of the things I really love about like fantasy and world building and lore, is that it really is just like this creation of this new thing. And so it's really interesting hearing about that, but creation is such like a broad thing. The way that that actually happens can be so unique and so random. And Hugh and I were talking about, actually I was explaining to her a mathematical and also computer science based concept called linear regression. And it kind of goes back to just the way that I think about things and process things, because to me it really does explain a lot about kind of the way that I think about creativity and fit. I think a lot of things in life have to do with like how good a fit it is for you, and if things aren't working out, then it probably wasn't a great fit in the first place, and you just haven't found the right fit yet. But I think about things, linear regression is kind of like this. So you have this graph, right? Right, you have this graph. The goal with linear regression, right? So this is, right? The goal is to find troughs, right? To basically get to the lowest point on the curve. That's that's what you're optimizing for. So say like success or creation or whatever happiness, whatever this thing is for you, passion is down here at the bottom of a trough, right? But there are a couple other troughs that you can fall into that might bring you happiness or whatever it is, but they're just like not as good a fit, right? Or they're a good fit for some time, but they're just like not ultimately the best fit. Where you start basically with linear regression, say I'm starting like right here, right? What I'm doing is I'm testing it at two different points. So say I'm starting there at the top, I'm testing at two different points like here and here, and what I'm looking for is the slope of the line, basically whichever one takes me down fastest will be leading me towards a trough, right? But where you start has a huge impact on what trough you're in, and how wide your search points are have a large determination on like the slope of that line, right? So if I'm just testing things that are relatively close, this one might take me in this direction, right? And I might end up in this trough, but I'll never end up in this one unless I have something that like shakes it up, right? That makes it so that I'm testing something out here that is making it so that I end up in the big trough. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this whole process of being on set and creating with other creators under like different constraints and having to use different tools that I'm not used to, and really being faced with different forms of content and different ways that content looks like and that creative process looks like, and the way that you express ideas and communicate with an audience, and even just to the type and genre of content, all the different ways that is expressed, really has been a shaking up of things for me. And it's been really hard in a lot of ways and very uncomfortable. But in a lot of ways, it's been really rewarding. And so even today, though today was a tougher day and a day where I was definitely struggling a lot more than I would like, there was a lot of good that came from it. And a number of conversations where I felt like these were things that I needed to hear. And these are ideas that I need to contend with if I'm going to move on and become the better version of myself that I want to become. And it's funny because it also really kind of tied into the book that I'm reading. I'm reading Be Useful by Arnold right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was a childhood hero of mine, and my dad's a huge fan of Arnold. We grew up on his movies. Conan the Barbarian, I think, was my dad's favorite. Certainly was the one that we watched the most, but it's cool that Arnold has so many different facets to his personality. And I didn't really know a lot about his comedic career. But when he was talking about being in Hollywood and like what that whole experience is like, and he was talking about his journey, his goal initially was to become the highest paid actor in Hollywood. And so he entered and was the biggest action star in Hollywood. But he's like, no, I want to be the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I want to be the greatest leading man in Hollywood. And for him, that meant that he needed to break outside of his typecast, outside of his bubble, and switch things up outside of what he was comfortable with, which was action, which in a lot of ways really played into what he had done previously with Mr. Olympia. But he broke into comedy and made 2 movies, one of which was Twins, which to this day, apparently, has been his highest grossing film and was his most successful film. And that never would have happened if he hadn't shaken things up. And I think that's really cool and very admirable and definitely something that I needed to hear right now. But yeah, have a wonderful night. Peace.